If you're reading this, It's Too Late was Drake's surprise drop in the winter of 2015, over 5 years ago now, Jesus Christ. For me, this album still exists as a relative anomaly in the Drake canon. I think it's his least eclectic, most straightforward, most conventional, and most focused project to date. Of course, with his older albums like So Far Gone and Take Care and Nothing Was the Same, Thank Me Later, he kind of made his name operating in a strange lane in between the worlds of R&B and hip-hop. But this project does lean more towards that hip-hop side of his sound. The tape is mostly produced by close collaborator and fellow Canadian Boy Wonder. The beats are very cold and menacing and kind of creepy as well. In terms of the subject matter on this project, I think it was another shift towards something a bit different, especially in comparison to Drake's older stuff. His previous work kind of focused on him lamenting long-lost loves, being very nostalgic and wistful about the past, with some sprinkles of braggadocio here and there. If you're reading This Is Too Late is a far more confident take on Drake's whole sound. It's where he kind of started to adopt the kind of strange mob boss aesthetic that like Jay-Z had in the 90s and 2000s. And he brings that kind of swagger to his writing, especially on songs like Energy and No Telling and 10 Bands. A lot of the album sounds, to me at least, that it was kind of like recorded underwater in some kind of metallic bunker where all the sounds are just reverbing off each other. I think that's probably down to the fact that a lot of the beats make use of some very, very strange and unconventional samples. The main melody for 10 Bands sounds like it was made by those people who make music by playing the rims of wine glasses. I don't exactly know what the official term is for that. That cold, eerie, kind of removed aesthetic is amplified by Drake's lyrics in this song, with him, again, inhabiting that more braggadocious side. But it's just rapping out his money, basically, on this song. As this is a Drake project, there is still going to be those couple of songs that are more R&B leaning. A song like Jungle, I think, wouldn't feel out of place on an album like Take Care. Like the stuff that we traditionally associate with Drake, Jungle has a mid-tempo, very weighty, thick beat, being the backdrop for Drake, again, musing on past loves and past relationships. Personally, for me, I think the biggest surprise I had when I first heard this album was the song Wednesday Night Interlude, which is entirely performed by Party Next Door. The reason that I was so surprised by this song is, personally, just for my own listening enjoyment, I am not a fan of Party Next Door's music in the slightest. However, I do love just how moody and dreary and ethereal the whole aesthetic to this song is. And I do like his vocal performance as well, especially the very, very echo, reverb heavy vocals. Listening to this album in retrospect is kind of strange because I feel with every album that preceded it, that led up to it, there was a greater amount of focus and time and dedication gone into each project. This was kind of the peak or the apex of Drake's songwriting focus. And I feel now Drake has kind of regressed into making less focused music. That laser focus and dedication to being very detailed in each song is all over this album, especially on a song like Star 67, which is a pretty conceptual song for Drake standards, at least. The whole song is kind of tied together by using a number of different kind of phone and phone number related metaphors, and it's separated into two very different and distinct sections. The first part is very, again, calculated and cold and reserved. He has the same kind of monotone flow throughout the first part of the song. And then you get a very, very early beat switch where the entire aesthetic of the song changes. Star 67 transforms into a very sad, nostalgic, and bittersweet dissection of Drake's own past. Instead of that cold, calculated delivery, we get a lot more emotion with the whole blowing up kind of repeated hook. And I think that's something that I think is underrated about this specific project, because even though he's making more traditional, straightforward rap songs or trap songs, he still retains what makes Drake Drake, and that he always has that one Instagrammable lyric or catchy hook, like on Star 67 or like on Know Yourself or like a number of songs on this album. For as straightforward as this album is, I was surprised that Drake was still willing to step out of his comfort zone at times and try things that were a bit more unconventional. The song Madonna opens with a very, very bizarre beat, and Drake delivers this kind of half sung, half rapped, half mumbled, muttered kind of flow. With Know Yourself as well, it's not that his delivery is unconventional, strange, but it's the song structure itself. Again, it is characterized by a very, very early beat switch. I think it's like under 2 minutes. And of course, Know Yourself gave us Run It, Do It, 6 with my woes, which kind of preceded like one of the most iconic beat drops that we've heard in recent years. The reason I look back on this project with kind of mixed feelings is that it's evidence that Drake has the talent and the work ethic to produce something so strong, but what we're getting post this album is little flashes of that knack for creating catchy, charismatic rap songs with like a kind of R&B slant to them is still there, but it's just coming in small doses in very, very bloated projects. On this album or mixtape or whatever you want to characterize it, he would pick an idea or an approach for a song and run with it and stick with it for that specific song. Whereas now I think what he tries to do too often is fit all of these ideas into one single song. I think Drake is at his best when he takes a simpler approach. Newer songs like Mob Ties, Money in the Grave, Sacrifices, those kind of songs follow a similar philosophy behind them to a lot of the songs on If You're Reading This, and it makes for, in my opinion, Drake's strongest music. I would probably say that this is Drake's strongest project to date. I don't have the childlike nostalgia I have for this that I do for like Take Care, because I grew up with that album. But I think one thing this has over that album is just how focused this album is and how simple it is. There are, I think, no songs that I actively dislike on this mixtape, apart from the song Preach, which is one of the worst songs I've ever heard Drake come out with. I'm not saying Drake needs to attempt to repeat this formula for another project. I do think he has very strong projects which take a very different approach to this album. What I do think he should do is take the same philosophy behind this album and apply that to a new project. And that philosophy is focus and be simple with it. And you can do that in a range of different styles. It doesn't have to be the cold trap rap aesthetic. You can do it in an R&B setting or in a bounce setting or whichever genre he's trying to hop on. I think the only thing that needs to remain consistent with the Drake project is that it's focused and it's simple. And then you build from that, and then he can just let his talent speak for itself. If you're reading this 5 years later, what do you guys think of it? Do you think it's aged well? Do you think it hasn't aged well? Do you think it's one of Drake's strongest projects? Make sure to let me know in the comments down below what you think. Make sure to like, subscribe, and on the bell. And I will see you next time.